Ooh! Greetings friends and welcome to Let's Make a 2D Arcade Fighter Part 5. In today's video we're going to go over super moves. The first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of our old dude over there. And then what I'm going to do is, first off, make our new move. And the one that I'm going to do is going to be, I'm going to call it Fire Blast. And it's going to be a kind of Hadoken, Kamehameha-y kind of attack. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down a little microchip. And this is going to be where our super moves are. So I'm just going to go in here. I'll call this one Super Moves. Super Moves! And this is really where, each character, each different character that you have will have their own set of super moves. And it's like, it's not just the regular punches and kicks, it's the real cool stuff. So we're going to go Animate and stick down a nice timeline. And in this timeline, I'm going to just move this back and then move our timeline over here, rotate it, so it's just a bit easier to work with. Alrighty. So first off, I'm going to just get myself a nice default keyframe. There we go. Then another one, and this is going to be the beginnings of our pose. And this one is going to be, I'm going to turn the body, move a little bit back, lift up the one arm, lift up the hand, so that we're getting a nice Hadoken like pre-charge, you know what I mean? As he charges it up by his hip. It's going to do a nice rotation there, but also a bit of a bend in the torso. You might also want to move the one leg back. Really, you've got to do whatever you feel is best for your particular character and what would fit. You might want to bend this also a bit more. What would fit with them. Moving the head up so your eyes are on your opponent. So that's cool. We'll create a nice little blend. Remember we've got Ooooh. And then we can actually make it stay there for a bit, so it's like Ooh. So it's like a bit of a charge up, as it were. And we can copy that, but make it a bit smaller again. Make that keyframe. Then this one can be the unleashing keyframe. It's going to be, actually first we're going to move the body a little bit forward from the pivot point, which is the hips on the default puppet. Then we can straighten up the body and create for ourselves a nice releasing kind of a blast. Okay, if the arms are being a little bit unhelpful, you can just press triangle to deanimate and move them from the hands and get them to however you like them. Yeah, let's do something like this. Might want to rotate the hips as well. So that you get a nice kind of a blast. Alrighty. You might want to lower the hips. You lower the hands. So let's see what we've got. So we've got like a charge up and then nice little blast. And then the blast will also stay for a little bit. So that's a little bit slow. I think we'll just do this. Cha! Cha! That's quite cool. And then they shall return to their resting position. You can mess with this animation as you desire so that it looks nice and smooth. Maybe just while I'm messing with this. Alrighty. Yeah. So you want to work on that animation for yourself so that it's nice and cool. Alrighty. So that is the animation done. And the next thing we're going to do is make ourselves a nice little fireball. Now, friends, when it comes to all the different abilities you can have, we're actually going to go into modes quickly. Sculpt mode. I'll choose a little sphere. When it comes to all the different abilities you can have, friends, I've actually made a playlist called Ability Guides. And with those, you can make all kinds of super moves, like ice-themed spike ones. So you can shoot out ice spikes. You can freeze your enemies into a block of ice. You can shoot out fireballs. All sorts of stuff. Because I'm doing a fireball here, I'm going to choose red. Alrighty, just a nice little red sphere. Then to make it look cool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into it. I'm going to go to paint mode, and I'm going to choose just a mix of the reds. Right, then I'm going to go L1 and square, soft blend, increase that. Then I'm going to reduce the size of it, and I'm just going to go over it so that it's just not like one solid color, but it's got a bit of variation. I'm also going to go with a mix of the yellows, and I'm just going to do some of that as well. Not like a huge amount, just sort of like a smattering, so that there's a bit of just difference. So it looks like a nice fireball, and as well with the orange, a little bit of the orange. Gonna throw that in there just to give it some detail. Alrighty. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into our little sphere. I'm gonna make it quite shiny. I'm gonna make it quite metal, and then I'm gonna make it quite bright. Shway. So as you can see, now we've got something that looks like really kicking. It's really kicking butt. You can change its looseness, and then you can give it a little bit of flow. You'll have to press play to see what the flow looks like. Oh, sorry, this is wave, my bad. Flow with a little tap. Force it. Alrighty. You can make it pretty fast. If you wanted to have a bit more of an effect of like the burning effect, you can just increase your looseness even more. If you feel like this particular fleck isn't doing it for you, that makes sense, and the way to change that is you'll just go to modes, you'll go to style mode, and you can change the fleck. A really good fire one is Baroque, but you can change it to whatever works for you. So there we have a nice fire one. You might say like, but now I feel like it's a little bit too loose, so then you can just reduce the looseness as you see fit. Now we've got a nice fireball. You can make it you can make it, you see, if you make it very loose, then it kind of becomes a little bit ill-defined. You can change the fleck perspective as well, which kind of just changes the size of the fleck. You can throw in some impasto, really just figure out what works for you. The impasto adds a nice bit more of like a 3D effect to it. Okay, sweet. You can also just be like, I shall just shoot a sweet orb of flames. It really works, whatever works for you. Okay, cool, I think that's good. Now we're going to go back to our little timeline, and I'm just going to name this Fire Blast Hadoken. Suppose I could name it Hadoken, but yeah. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to return it here. And if you want your timeline to be in the same place when you return, you can put on a save position, the little anchor. So if I close it and open it again, hey, it's in the same spot. I don't have to move it around like a chop. Okay, sweet. Now what we're going to do is add in an emitter, and the emitter is going to, as you will have guessed it, it's going to emit our little fireball. Okay, sweet. We go into the emitter, we can go object to emit, this guy. Then we can go guides, grid snap, put the grid snap on so that the arrow is very accurate, and it's going to go exactly to the right and not be a little bit off. Alright, then you can turn the grid snap off. You can also put on show and hide and turn off preview and visibility. Now you can see where the fireball is going to be. We can move it around and adjust it. So we'll click on our little keyframe so that we can see where our hands are, and we shall see, okay, cool, this one is there, and that looks to be good. So we'll do it like so. It's right outside of that. If you want to adjust the size, you can do that as well. Alrighty. So that's going to shoot out that little ball. Okay, sweet. So that's going to shoot out that little ball. But if we want to say, okay, we want to actually do some stuff with our fireball itself, once again, we just turn off our preview invisibility. We'll pause, and then we shall go to our little fireball. And by pause, I just mean press L3. We'll go to our little fireball, and we'll put down a little microchip. Remember to surface snap it with L1. Okay. Then inside this, we're going to add an impact sensor. And the impact sensor is going to, when it touches something, or when it bumps into something, it is going to be destroyed. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Then what we're going to do is, whoopsie, we're also going to have a health modifier, and it's going to be in the area around it. So it's going to have like a little area of effect. And it's going to do, let's say, like minus 20. So we'll just go like minus 20. Remember to keep this number in the negatives. And it's going to be a zone, not continuous, but just per hit. So if an enemy comes into the zone of this fireball, they will take damage. And you can adjust the little white ball there. And there we have our damage. Once again, because this is a 2D fighter, you can make this just like a cube and make it infinitely long on the Z-axis. So you can be like, okay, cool, we're just going to place it like this, and then I'll make it like, you know, super long this way. Woohoo! So that, you know, it's guaranteed to hit my enemy on the Z-axis, you know, unless they jump over it or something like that. We're trying, so I'd say that's probably cool. You can make it a cube so that it's just consistent with all our other things which are working with boxes, you know, like hitboxes. Or you can make it a sphere. It's really up to you. I think I'm going to make it a sphere just for the sake of it. I'll make it a little bit larger than that though, because we want our super move to have a fairly good chance of hitting our enemy. And friends, another thing that we're going to do with the super move is we're actually going to put a tag on it. And you're going to say, but me lad, bro, why are we putting another tag on? I thought we were done with all this tag business. Well, you see, friends, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new hit. And this is going to be super hit. And I think I'll say super hit body. Because we've got hit body, and now we're going to have super hit body. Because, of course, if this fireball hits you, you're not just going to flinch, you're going to be knocked back. So another thing we're going to do in this video is actually create a new hit reaction to a super move. So there you are, friends. I want to really make a nice holistic thing. A holistic move that has not only the ability we're after, but also all the necessary logic that would come from adding it in. So we've got super hit body. Remember to change the position of the tag. It's X and Y and Z and so on and so forth. And you can move that to the front of it. There we go. That looks pretty good. You can also just surface snap a particular tag onto there. It's really up to you. But putting it in the microchip is just as good. Either way, you have to adjust the position of that little white bauble. Okay, cool. Nice. And if you change the position of it inside the microchip, it doesn't change it in the world. So that's cool. Okay, cool. And this will be just our fire blast logic. Alrighty tighty. Great stuff. So now we've got our fireball, and our fireball is going to go hoo-cha. Okay, cool. But now, how are we going to activate this? What button are we going to press, or buttons are we going to press to make this work? So generally in games like Street Fighter, they'll have very funky like key button presses. Like you'll go like down, diagonal, down, right, and then right on the D-pad. So you'll do sort of like a quarter circle maneuver. Doing those in Dreams would be super hard, and I haven't figured out how to do it. nicely, you know, in like a smooth way that doesn't require like buttloads of logic. So instead, what I'm going to tell you, or what I'm going to show you, is how to activate different attack modes with different buttons. So in other words, by default, square, triangle, and R1 are your punches, but I'm going to show you how to, by pressing L2, make it so that when you press L2 and then you press square, it's going to do like a super punch, and for each of those buttons. So it's going to replace what those buttons do depending on the attack mode. So you'll have like normal attack mode where it'll be like square's punch, and then you'll have super attack mode where if you press L2 and square, you're not going to do a normal punch, you'll do a fireball. Yeah, so let's get into the different attack modes. The way that you do it is, we're going to go into logic and processing and get ourselves a selector. Alrighty. And in the output A, it is going to have all our normal abilities. So in other words, A is going to be powering the punches, and A is going to be powering our kicks, and yeah, but B is going to be powering our super moves. Alrighty. So now that we've got the default position working out, and that looks cool. So we've got, if we press square, if we press triangle, if we press R1, okay, that looks cool. But now we want to make it so that when we press L2, it's going to switch us to output B. So let's just try this out. So square, square, square. If we press L2, ooh, look, I did a little fireball. Okay, sweet. Because at the moment there isn't a key button press, so literally just pressing L2 will make the ability work. But so what we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, cool, when our blast is on, when we're in super mode, we want it to be that when L2 is pressed, okay, when L2 is pressed and square is pressed, it's going to make us shoot our fire blast. But you're going to be wondering, there's a bit of a problem in our logic at the moment, which is that if we just press L2, the problem is it's going to just, well, you'll be able to go into super mode, but you won't actually be able to go back. And also, it's just if you tap L2, it's going to take us to B. But what we want is something that'll be, as long as we hold L2, we're going to be in super mode, and as soon as we let go of it, with no time delay at all, we're going to return back to our basic mode. So what we're going to do for that is put down a signal manipulator. We'll put down 2 of those. And in the first one, we're going to go custom remapper, and we're going to say pulse at on. So in other words, when we press the button, it's going to send a pulse. Okay, sweet. And then, so when we press it, it's going to be there. And then we're going to take another connection. We're going to connect it here, but this one's going to be pulse at off. So in other words, when you let go of L2, then it's going to take us back to A. Alrighty. So let's see. Square, square, square. L2 and square. Hiya! Oh, watcha! Shoot out a little blast. And as soon as I let go of L2 again, it's going to take us there. So holding L2, fire blast, cha-cha. Immediately let go of L2, and then I can punch again. Alrighty, friends. So that's also just a little bonus. This is how to switch attack modes. And now, if I press L2 and square at the same time, it's going to be doing my super move. Because if you don't add in this little selector that changes the attack mode, you're going to be doing a punch at the same time as a super move, if that makes sense. Because the square is still linked to the light punch. So you want to create a system whereby you're able to have your normal attacks and then your super attacks that use the same button. So there you are, friends. Alrighty, now I just want to make a few adjustments to our fire blast because at the moment it's a little bit piddly. So I'm just going to make it so that it emits only once. Okay, cool. Max emitted, we can set that to, I suppose, 1. Emitted object lifetime, we can make that maybe 1.5 or 2 seconds. That depends on what you want to do. We also have to change a little tweak in our fireball, and that's to go into its physical properties and say ignore gravity. That means it'll go straight. So when you fire the fireball, it'll go straight. And I think another thing we'll want to do is actually make our fireball explode when it impacts with something. So we're going to go into our microchip, we're going to go and put down an emitter. Oh, also friends, sorry. If you want to change the speed of your fireball, you can change it here in emit speed. So that it'll go pretty slow or super fast, or that really depends on you. Okay, cool. But back to adding in an explosion. So we're going to put down movers, and we're going to go into movers and outputs, put down an emitter. And then we're going to go into the Dreamiverse, Medium Molecules Quick Start Collection, effects, and then add in a nice explosion. You can make this original one that you stamped down quite small and just put it out of the way. And then you can change the size of it when you emit it. So we'll set it to time between emits, we'll make it 0 once, max emitted, emitted object lifetime, we can set that to 1 second. You can set this to infinite, it doesn't really matter. And then its emit speed will be 0. So when its emit speed is 0, it'll just appear exactly where it appears and it won't move from that position. Okay, sweet. And then we can move this explosion to within the, let's just move this out of the way, a little bit of a busy position we've got at the moment. We're going to move this so that it's in the center of our, you can also angle it a bit if you like, in the center of our particular fireball. Okay, sweet. So now we shall be able to see what happens if we shoot out this fireball. Okay, sweet. So square, 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 and now super mode. Zoo. Huh? Zoo. Ah, of course. What I did was it's going to explode immediately as soon as it spawns, but we must actually attach it to if it impacts with something. So if you want this to happen, it might be a problem because it's destroying at the same time as it's emitting. So if we have a look, okay, that's actually fine. Okay, cool. One thing I notice is our timeline isn't on playback mode set to once, which is a rookie error. Okay, cool. Now if we do it, it's going to play the whole thing through. That looks cool. Hiya! Yeah! Okay, sweet. Let's add in a little clone. Get him on the same sort of position. Okay, sweet. Hiya! Hiya! Okay, that looks cool, friends, explosion-wise. But this dude isn't reacting. We want them to be like knocked over. But of course, we remember that we put down a super hit body on the fireball itself, and we have a nice tag there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to hit reactions, and we're going to make ourselves a new one. So first of all, we're just going to add in a timeline, and this is going to be our reaction to a super hit. So this is going to be super hit body. Okay, cool. Playback mode set to once. Okay, and then we're going to move this one into the required position for ease of use. And we're going to make it so that we have our default one. Then we're going to make a new one. And this new one is going to be, goodness gracious, there's so much stuff in the way. I'm quickly going to turn off, I'm going to turn on rather preview invisibility so that there's less stuff in the way here. Okay, sweet. We've freed up a bit of space. It's going to go like this. Okay, and remember, friends, when you move your puppet, make sure that you always scope into them and you don't just move them like this. Because if you move them while they're here, like their whole body at once, that's going to cause problems. And in your animation, you might be over here and you'll be like, oh, you get blasted, and then you'll very quickly like go back to this position for like a split second. Because when you move their whole bodies, it's kind of like that positions them in the whole scene, not just in the local space of their body. So if you want to move their body, you have to do it from inside and move their like hips or their pivot point, their pelvis. Specifically, you have to move it from that position first. Okay, sweet. So this dude's just been hit by a fireball. So I think he'll go like, ooh, oh, ooh, ooh. Can have some fun with this. Ooh. And you don't actually have to have too many animations here. like too many keyframes rather. So if we have a look, it'll be like, ooh. Okay, sweet. And then the next one is just going to be him on the floor. Ugh. And he's going to be, okay. Nothing quite like knocking your enemies to the ground. Okay, sweet. So we're doing quite a bit in this video, friends, but we want it to be a holistic tutorial. It covers all the stuff you need to cover. And his head's back a bit because he's just been absolutely knocked over. So let's have a look, see? Okay, not the smoothest in the world. If you want to make it a bit smoother, you can add in another keyframe in between so it gets knocked back. You can be like, okay, sweet, I actually want to add another like interim keyframe. And you can see the lines at the moment go straight down. So what you can do is you can move them to this position and zing, you see the line curves, and so that makes it a bit smoother. The line curves. The line curves. But you can mess with this and see if it does work for you, or if it's kind of, you know, maybe it isn't. Maybe you just want it simple. You also want to speed this up a lot. He's not falling in slow motion. Might actually get rid of that keyframe actually. Okay, sweet. It's not perfect, but it does the job. We can mix those, we can fix those things up and improve the look in our final finishing touches video. But for now, I think that'll do. You might also want to, if you want to just create a bit more of a realistic vibe, is to add in a keyframe where they are, actually just going to copy the last keyframe, add in a keyframe where they're like getting back to their feet. So they'll be like, you know, they'll get up and they'll maybe move their hand a bit so that it's under them. And they're like, you know, they put an arm on the floor sort of a thing. And they get up and maybe one of their legs is bent as they're like, you know, going here, and you can move their pelvis so they're already a little bit up. Okay, cool. And then you return it to the default position. And then we'll see. It looks like one of his arms is like dislocated here. I'm just going to go like that. Let's have a check, see. See, how's that, eh? Not bad. So it gets knocked over. 1, 2, 3. And friends, this is literally 3 keyframes. So default, keyframe, 1, 2, 3. You can make it a lot smoother if you spend a lot of time on it and add in some nice keyframes and do some different blends. You can do some really awesome stuff, friends. But for now, I think that'll be good enough for us. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to add in just like these trigger zone. Actually, I'll do it the same one as the body. So I'll copy the body trigger zone. And of course, but this one is going to be super hit body. Okay. And it's going to be in this kind of a region. This kind of a region. That'll be good. And it is going to trigger this dude, which is going to be super hit body. Alrighty. But friends, actually there's something else you'll want to add here. So let's just quickly go here. We're also going to go detected. We're going to close hit reactions and go to our puppet interface and go, you'll see here, go backwards. So this means when you get hit, you'll get knocked over and your character will move back a little bit. You can actually add go backwards to in the hit reactions, all the trigger zones, so that when you're hit by something, you'll move back a little bit. That's actually a very useful thing to add in. So just by connecting input here, your puppet will just move a little bit backwards. so they aren't just in the same position. They're sort of getting like knocked back. And that's something you can do without having to do some fancy like adding in movers or anything like that. So that's a nice little preset function. Okay, cool. So let us see at the moment what that looks like. We're just going to quickly clone our dude. Disasters may happen or they may not. Only playtesting will tell us. Okay, now I'm controlling this dude. Let's see what's up. Hooah! Gish. Okay, he's a little bit off. Whoops. A little bit off. Okay, now they should be realigned. Whoops. Okay, L2 and square. Hacha. Okay, and he gets knocked over. So that looks pretty good, friends. As you might have seen, there was a bit of trouble with if they are slightly off the mark. So if they aren't exactly in line, there might be a little bit of trouble in terms of getting hit. So what we can do with that is, it's quite simple. Remember when I mentioned earlier about the Z-axis? So it might actually just be best for us to, when we've got our health modifier, okay, that can apply damage, and you might want to just make the hitbox a little bit larger on the Z-axis, so that even if you aren't exactly in line, it'll still be working. Okay, sweet. And then also for our particular trigger zone of the hit reaction. So we've got our trigger zone here for the super hit body. At the moment you see it's quite thin, it's quite exact, but I think we'll give ourselves a little bit of leeway here, so that if it's on either side of them. So we don't have to make it like it has to exactly hit the body, because of course throughout the game it might not be exactly in line, but so long as we're on the X and Y axis, it doesn't matter if it's behind them on this side or in front of them on this side. So long as it's in line with them on the X axis, that's all that matters. So we can make that Z axis very large. If none of this is making sense to you, just take my word for it. Okay, cool. Now let us try this again. Okay, sweet. And here we are. Yeah. That is looking fabulous, friends. And I can do a crouch. Wow! Oh, you can even do a crouch version. That's pretty cool. And then I can do a jump. Wootsoo! Wootsoo! Okay, fabulous. Alrighty, friends. So, he actually respawned there. That's why he disappeared. So, you can tell that it is actually also doing damage there. So that is very good. Alrighty, friends, so that's all there is to adding in a super move. This has been quite a long video, but we've gone over quite a few things, so let's just recap quickly. So the first thing we did is we added in a super move, which is Fire Blast. We made a few edits to the particular fireball itself. We did some arty stuff to make it look all nice and fiery. Then we added in an impact sensor, so whenever it touches something, it's going to be destroyed and emit an explosion. It's going to deal damage in a zone, its particular hitbox. You can change the damage here. And it has a new tag, which is the super hit body. What we do with that super hit body is we go to our hit reactions and we made a new trigger zone that detects super hit body and a new timeline that our character gets knocked back. We can actually just reduce that there. Actually, friends, you know what you might want to do as well is remember in our other hit reactions we had an immobilize. You might want to add that into your super hit body hit reaction as well. Remember, once again, about 80% of this over here. Okay, fabulous. And then I think what we're going to want to do is, so you can't move when you've got that there. Okay, sweet. So once again, the super hit body tag will be detected by this trigger zone, and then it will make our super hit body hit reaction where they get knocked over and fall to the ground and get back up, which is lots of fun. Another very important thing is different attack modes. So what we have for that is a selector, and this selector will be triggered by when L2 is pressed. We have a pulse at on, so that means for as long as L2 is pressed, it is going to be at B. And then we have a pulse at off. In other words, when L2 is released, then it's going to take us back to A. So this is cool because there's 0 release time. So it's not like even 0.1 second. It is as soon as you have L2 on, it is going to be, we're going to go into super attack mode. And as soon as L2 is released, we're going to go back to our normal attack mode, and you can start doing your normal punches and kicks again. Friends, if you want to add in all sorts of different abilities, once again, I suggest you check out my Ability Guides video series. I have a whole bunch there about super punches, super kicks, uppercuts, fireballs. I won't go over all of them in this video because already it's quite a lengthy one, but you can check that out. I've got a nice playlist. Generally the videos are only about 10 minutes, so you can have a lot of fun and just add in whatever you like to that. Okay, sweet friends. I might add in some extra super moves as we go along, but this is the gist of it, and once you figure out how to do one of them, you've pretty much got it waxed. Okay, friends, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for checking out this video. I hope you found it useful. I had so much fun doing it, and I can't wait to see what you make. Alright, thanks friends. Catch you in the flip-flop. Peace out.